Hi artists, and welcome to Davide Ogiochi Channel. I note with immense pleasure that this column dedicated to artworks is pleasing a lot. So, here I am with another episode. But before starting, if you want to get culture but at the same time have fun, subscribe to the channel and click on the bell button for staying up to date. The masterpiece I wish to talk you about today is The Lady with an Ermine, one of the greatest masterpieces of Leonardo Da Vinci, a man who absolutely doesn't need introductions. Okay, I would say we can start with the history of the painting. The technique used is oil colors on a panel wood, walnut wood to be precise. Its sides are 54x40 if we are talking about centimeters, otherwise 21x15 inches. It has been realized in a period between 1488 and 1490, so it was made during Leonardo's stay in Milan. This stay lasted 16 years, from 1482 to 1499. In December of 2016, an aberrant event takes place. In fact, the Czartoryski Museum, who has guarded the artwork for many years, decided to sell it to the Polish government along with many other artifacts from his collection for the ridiculous amount of 100 million euros. It's a real blasphemy, because according to experts, it should be worth at least 2 billion. Well, we can't go back in time, so we have to accept things as they are. If nothing else, we can still feel lucky to have the possibility to admire it, because during the Second World War, the Nazis found it in the basement of Wawel Castle and took it in Germany. In this case, the artwork was lucky, because it wasn't incinerated with a flamethrower as some else. On the other hand, in the lower right corner was found the fingerprint of a eel, but some very skilled restorers have removed it. After the return in 1946, the artwork was again exposed at the Czartoryski Museum, and then moved to the Wawel Castle from May 2012 to 7 May 2017, and finally it was exposed to the National Museum of Cracovia. So, if you want to see it, you have to go to this charming Polish town, which, by the way, is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Okay, now we can start to talk about the painting. It's an half-bust portrait of an eye-located woman, exactly as Mona Lisa. It must be said that, regardless the subject, Leonardo had the utmost respect for the person chosen. Women had the exact same importance as men to him. Therefore, although to be a genius, Leonardo was also a gallant man. Wow! One of the many similarities between the two women is the very well-groomed clothing. This robe befits a lady-in-waiting who has the privilege of being the mistress of one of the most powerful gentlemen in Italy in the Renaissance time. The lady has an elaborate hairstyle that emphasizes the features with a lace on her forehead and a veil of the same color as the hair. As you can see, the sleeves of the tunic are wide and precious, adorned with ribbons of different color. Everything like the Mona Lisa, basically. The girl doesn't wear jewelry, apart a long necklace of garish, which are a symbol of faithful love. The necklace was probably a gift of Ludovico the Moor, and at the same time make a nice contrast to the beautiful light complexion of the young girl. An imperceptible smile hovers over her lips. To express a feeling, Leonardo preferred to hint at emotions rather than make them explicit. Damn! How many similarities with Francesca del Giocondo. Great emphasis is given to the hand, invested by light, with long, tapered fingers caressing an ermine, testifying its delicacy and grace. The background is dark, but it was much less before a restoration carried out in the 19th century. X-ray analysis also shows that a window was originally painted behind the lady's left shoulder. At the top right, you can see the inscription BELE FERONIERE LEONARD D'AWINCI. Vinci. Note that Da Vinci was just written right, eh? This is an apocryphal inscription that wants to take us out of the way. Who knows who was the moron who wrote it? This is the real BELE FERONIERE. This is another painting of Leonardo, depicting Madame Ferron, lover of Francis I of France. The real name of the woman is Cecilia Gallerani, lover of Ludwig Moor or Ludovico il Moro. Now, let's talk about the pose. It's quite special because there is a double rotation. The head is turned towards our right, while the torso toward our left. A kind of innovation by Leonardo. Both the woman and the animal look in the same direction. The lady seems to be watching someone come into the room, and at the same time has the solemn air of an ancient statue. Well, now we can tell about the pet. What does this Ermine represent? It represents the symbol of the purity and incorruptibility of the young woman, but it also a reference to Ludwig, who in 1488 received from the King of Naples the honorary title of Knight of the Order of the Hermine. By the way, in Greek, Ermine is galè, a name that makes assonance with the surname Gallerini. But some people think it's not an Ermine. What makes them think it? The fact that Leonardo, careful investigator of the natural data, may have been inspired by a captured animal. At the end, it's a wild and biting animal, which doesn't allow itself to be easily caught by hunters. Much better to fall back on a much more eccentric ferret. A domestic pet exactly as a cat. Anyway, in the traditional iconography we can occasionally see an Ermine. For example, in a young knight in a landscape of Vittore Carpaccio, realized in 1510. Besides, an Ermine is always more or less 30 centimeters or 11 inches. A ferret, instead, is always between 40 and 60 centimeters or 15 to 23 inches. But honestly, I don't care too much what animal it is. The fact is that The Lady with an Ermine is one of the greatest masterpieces of Italian Renaissance. The painting, together with the portrait of a musician and BELE FERONIERE, profoundly renewed the Milanese artistic environment, marking new heights in the local portraiture tradition. The work was very successful, and it was immortalized by a sonnet by Bernardo Bellincioni, and it was also shown by Cecilia to the Marquise of Mantua Isabella d'Este, who tried to be portrayed in turn by Leonardo, and thought without success. There is just a cardboard remaining in the Louvre. You know, my brother and me, when we were younger, we really wanted a ferret, but we didn't have enough space for him. Maybe I could get one now. I don't think they will let me enter into the museum in Krakow with him in my arms, but who knows? If I tell them I am a descendant of Leonardo or Cecilia, maybe they could make an exception. We shall see. Okay artist, the video ends here. If you liked it, put me a like, comment, that I am glad, and subscribe to the channel. Follow me also on my other socials, link in description. Share the video with all your friends, family and acquaintances, and click also on the end cards. Oh, and if you want I talk of somebody or something in particular, ask it. I am always open to video on demand. I wait you always here to the next episode of Davideogiochi Channel. Ciao!